Thank you for tuning in to the MLB Report with Paul Tipton and myself, Greg Mengelt. Over the next few weeks through the postseason, Paul and I are going to put our picks up against the rest of the Central Indiana Sports Report staff and local media. Paul and I were joined by our IU guy, Mike Hutsell, our Colts Guy Sam Frick, and Tipton Tribune and Elwood Call Leader Sports Editor Michelle Garmon to make our picks. The rest will make their picks off of the podcast. Hey, go subscribe to the Central Indiana Sports Report so you don't miss any segments. We are going to be reacting to the postseason. I wouldn't say on a nightly basis, but quite often. I don't know the schedule. It'll kind of depend on what happens and what else is happening that day. But we will have lots and lots of MLB reports during the postseason. Please join us. Welcome, baseball fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for a special MLB report with Paul Tipton and myself, your host, Greg Mengelt. We are going to preview and predict all 4 wild card rounds, and we have with us Mike Hutsell, a Red Sox fan, and Sam Frick from Fort Wayne. Sam, who's your team?
My team is not in the playoffs, and that's the St. Louis Cardinals. So I get to be the neutral fan in this case.
Well, not as bad as the Red Sox. So.
Anything's better than the Yankees, though. That's just for sure.
Oh.
Oops. Did I speak out?
Oh. We got a Yankees fan, we got a Red Sox fan, we got a Cardinals fan, and a Reds fan. And guys, your Cincinnati Redlegs are going postseasoning.
How about it? That's crazy.
12 years.
No better way for that NL wild card to wrap up than both teams losing on the last day.
We've been saying I think the Brewers should get a bye in the first round. No one really
wild card just it slowly disintegrated into just 2 teams throwing feces at each other for about the last month.
That is correct.
This was a crazy day for the Mets, and I just happened to see a few key moments, and there weren't many for the Mets. But not only this actually happened in the last game where they desperately needed to win the game and could have made the playoffs if they'd won the game. A catcher caught the ball. A Mets catcher caught the ball on strike 2 and thought it was strike 3 and started moving away from the plate. And a Mets batter took ball 4 and refused, just stood in the plate until the umpire begged him to go to first base today. That happened during their game today. So I don't know about feces, but it was certainly ineptitude. And it was almost fun to listen to the Mets broadcasters talk about such moments.
The Mets
broadcast, Keith Hernandez.
The Mets broadcast over the last month of the year, it just sounded like 3 guys in therapy just to hear them talking during games. You've seen so many just
darling something like that anyway.
Hilarious like Mets, like the game I think against the Nationals about a week or week and a half ago where the guy kicked the ball into the air and caught it. And today, Pete Alonso with the hardest hit ball of the season for the Mets. Literally 116 miles an hour off the bat, caught and on the run in left center field. And then the last play of the season looked like a rope into right field by Lindor, and it turned into a season-ending double play. Just the bad luck and bad play. Let's not try to pretend it was all bad luck by the Mets to go from having the best record in baseball at one point this season to completely out of the postseason is just an impressive accomplishment.
Well, you mentioned about the Mets broadcast, and someone that's watched baseball for a while. And I don't watch baseball as much now as I used to, but typically every once in a while, if my Cardinals aren't playing, I typically go to 2 broadcasts for entertainment purposes only: the New York Mets and the San Diego Padres. I love those 2 broadcasts. Every time I watch a baseball game with those 2 broadcasts on, I'm there specifically to see what the heck are those 2 broadcasters going to say on any given day, because they make baseball so much more entertaining. And in a sport like baseball, where it's a lot of filler time, there's a lot of stories that need to be developed. You need good broadcasters that can tell good stories. And so I love those two whenever I try to listen to a baseball game from time to time. Because frankly, I think we lack the storytelling in today's journalism when it comes to sports. So seeing that from the Mets, golly, the Mets always find ways to lose baseball games somehow. And a team with all the expectations and all the money they spent, they still keep finding ways to miss the playoffs. And so, by the way, as someone, even though I'm a Cardinals fan, I do like to say congratulations to the Cincinnati Reds on making the playoffs. And I hope they make a deeper run this time around.
How many times did I give up on the Reds this year, Paul, on the podcast alone?
I think it was India 11.
India 11, that is correct. I believe we're going to make it come back to the India 11, Paul. By the way, that was before the podcast began, so no one knows what we're talking about.
Oh, sorry.
Nice reference.
I believe it was 10 or 11 times, Greg, where you said, I don't think they can do it.
I think the actual answer is 4, but still, it was a lot. And the thing is, producer Susie agreed with me every single time. And we were wrong. We did not know how bad the Mets could suck.
Yes, and, we have ineptitude all over the place. The Tigers, this collapsed, and they only made the playoffs at all because the Houston Astros also went into the tank. So
yes,
there are a lot of teams that should be kicking themselves right now.
It's a damn shame that Houston and the Mets collapsed the way they did. It really breaks my heart as a baseball fan to see those two franchises tripping over their own, you know what.
There are too many more unlikable franchises than that. That's for sure.
All right. Bad day. Altuve can't even go to Kings Island now and soak his sorrows away because he's not tall enough to ride the beast. It's just so hilarious.
All right, guys, let's predict some series, and we've got to start with the National League. And we have 4 wild card series, and we consider the National League Central our home division, and we've got a couple of them playing. So let's start with the series that is starting early in the day, 3 o'clock on ABC, I believe all 3 days. It is the Padres and the Cubs. Let's start with our resident Cubs, Yankees, Diamondbacks fan, Paul. Your thoughts on this series, a rematch of 1983, the Steve Garvey series.
Yes, and although the Padres do not have Steve Garvey and Durham will not be playing first base for the Cubs, I'm predicting the same outcome. The Cubs do not score enough runs, and Suzuki will find out that hitting against the Padres is not the same thing as hitting against the St. Louis Cardinals, and I predict that the Padres take them in 2 straight.
Yeah, I agree with you there, 100%. The Cubs were so hot at the beginning of the year. We had this fake Pete Crow Armstrong MVP push in the first few months of the season, but then as the season wore on, we realized they're just not as talented as they thought they were, and Kyle Tucker wasn't the Kyle Tucker that he has been when he was with Houston. San Diego, just to me, a better team, and Fernando Tatis Jr., he's going to be a household name at some point. I mean, he's just so good. He's had so many problems off the field as a Padre, but I think this is kind of a breakout moment for him and the postseason spotlight.
As someone that's from Northern Indiana, we get to see a lot of the prospects of the San Diego Padres, particularly with Fernando Tatis Jr. He had an amazing time in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He was smashing home runs left and right for Fort Wayne. You got Jackson Merrill just a few years ago. He was in Fort Wayne, Indiana, smashing single A ball for the Fort Wayne Tin Caps as well. You got Jackson Cronenworth, Xander Bogaerts, Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis Jr., as I mentioned earlier, Gavin Sheets, I believe, as well for the Padres. There's a moniker of Slam Diego for a reason, and part of that is I give Fort Wayne, Indiana a lot of thanks for helping develop the Slam Diego motto of the San Diego Padres. Also, the pitching of San Diego is usually pretty good for the most part, I think. But even then, okay, a little average. The Padres do have a good offense, and particularly in a best of 3 series like this, I think that's good enough against a team like the Chicago Cubs that definitely lack the offensive firepower compared to San Diego. So I like the Padres as well. Even it may go to 3 games. I could see that, but I think at least 2 games for San Diego as well.
You're all three wrong. The Cubs are winning the series.
If that happens, Greg, I will serenade you with "Go Cubs Go" on this podcast because I know you're such a fan.
Well, I hope the Padres win. I also think the Padres are the exact right team to fall apart in a situation like this. I just have a feeling that they're going to lose a close game on Tuesday and fall apart on Wednesday. And I think the Cubs win in 2.
I'm shocked that you would go that direction. Who do you see
I don't
excelling?
pick with my heart. I pick with my head.
Okay, who do you see? What Cubs batter will be coming through in the
Kyle
clutch?
Tucker's series. It's Kyle Tucker's series to shine.
Could happen.
He's got to be the X factor for sure. He's shown at times when he's healthy, he's one of the better outfielders in all of baseball for sure. He's got to be the guy for the Cubs.
Perfect time to bring in Michelle Garmon. Michelle, we are picking who's going to win each series starting in the National League, and we started with the Cubs and Padres. Who's going to win that series and how many games?
Oh, man, I was actually trying to figure that out earlier. That's a tough one. I remember when the Padres ousted the Cubs. My stepfather, a longtime big Cubbies fan, and he was so mad at me because I actually predicted Steve Garvey's home run before he hit.
My best friend growing up got his mouth washed out with soap because he said shit when Steve Garvey hit the home run.
Because the Cubs struggled some down the stretch, but I just kind of like that lineup. I'll pick the Cubs 3 game. No, I'll take the Cubs in 3.
Okay, the Reds play the Dodgers 3 games in Los Angeles. And Paul, we're going to start with you and explain why the Dodgers are going to win the series.
I don't expect too many runs to be scored. The Reds pitching has very much impressed me, but the Reds may not score in Los Angeles. And sadly, I see the Dodgers winning in 2 games there.
We're spot on again. I don't know that the last time the Reds were in the postseason was against Atlanta in the COVID. They didn't score for like 18 innings, I feel like. You could see a very, very similar situation here with the Dodgers pitching. Reds, he's 100% accurate. Hunter Green coming into his own here late in the year. But if Ellie's not hitting, or I just don't know how the Reds are going to be able to muster the offense to really threaten the Dodgers in this series.
The only thing I would say is the Reds go in to this postseason with absolutely no pressure on them. They're a young ball club. They have a lot of young players that have a lot of fun. My only concern is, and I think Francona is a wonderful manager. We all do as journalists and fans, and you second guess coaches and managers at times. My only problem with Francona is I haven't seen him have the Reds be able to manufacture a run when they need it. Butt runners over. The other day they were in that really good game against that good Milwaukee pitcher. Runners at first and second, no outs. Bunt him, get him to second and third. I mean, it's like you guys said, against the Dodgers, they're going to be hard to come by. So you got to be able to take advantage of situations. And if you get runners at first and second with no outs, you got to be able to get them to second and third. The Reds have struck out too many times in that situation. They have great speed. I mean, with Ellie, Friedel, McLean. I mean, if McLean gets on base, he is in a terrible slump. I like the move of Marte out to right field. Dodgers in 3. I think the Reds can get one, and I think it'll be important for these young guys to get one.
As far as that series goes, and I agree with Paul and Mike, I think the big mismatch on paper for me is the depth and the pitching of the Los Angeles Dodgers, particularly with Shohei Mania and Shohei Ohtani, one of the great talents in all of baseball. Not only can he pitch at an elite level when he's healthy, but he is also an elite hitter. 55 home runs, over 100 RBIs on the season for Mr. Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers. They just won the World Series last year. I think the Reds are a talented team. I think they have a bright future. I love Terry Francona, but I'm with Michelle. I worry a little bit about those late game situations. They are a young team. They're going to be going to Dodgers Stadium, going against a really good Dodgers pitching staff. And offense is going to be hard to come by, and the Reds are pretty reliant on their offense right now. I just think right now the Dodgers are probably the better team. I would say Dodgers sweep the Reds.
I agree with Michelle. I think it goes 3. I think this comes down to the 9th inning of Game 3. I really like the Reds bullpen, but I agree with Michelle. I think they still have not figured out or don't have the roster to manufacture the runs that you need to in the postseason. And I'm taking the Dodgers in 3, unfortunately.
As a Red Sox enthusiast, I have to get Paul's opinion on the managerial matchup here of Terry Francona and Dave Roberts.
Good point.
And no memories of those two, right? On the Yankees side.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No history.
Is that our segue over to the American League?
It is, but I want to start with the other series because I think we need to end with Yankees-Red Sox. Don't you agree?
So poetic.
Yeah. What a series. Both series in the American League are fascinating. Tigers against Cleveland, 3 games in Cleveland, and we will only refer to them as Cleveland. And I can't believe they're playing this series in Cleveland. Pretty crazy.
The
It is
Guardians
crazy.
quit. I mean, they gave up. They were sellers. They sent people out. They were done. I mean, they didn't have any intention of being here, and they were 15 games out in the division, and they're hosting a playoff series. This is one of the wildest accomplishments by any team I've ever seen in a sport. We can sit here on this podcast with a team that's going to the first round of the postseason, just won their division, and I could maybe name 4 guys on that team. It's Jose Ramirez, Steven Kwan, the closer who's suspended for gambling, Clase, and then John Kinsey Noel because he's got a cool name. Who am I missing?
You're missing Fry, who's not going to play because he bunted the ball into his face the other day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he took a Scooble ball to the face.
That was
okay.
ugly.
I would like to jump in here and shock everybody because I am predicting the Tigers in 2 games. Scooble wants to redeem himself for not fielding his position in Cleveland last week, and I think he'll shut out the Cleveland franchise team. And then they're going to win the second game too. Tigers in 2. That's my surprise pick. Everybody should have one.
I tend to side with you again on this one. I think the Tigers are going to win. I think it might go 3, as long as Scooble's not out there long snapping again anytime. I mean, Tigers to me are still the better team, talent-wise, and they had, 5 All-Stars on that team, and obviously they got into a funk late in the season. They still had a chance to win the division today, and they went out and got shut down by a Red Sox starter who they threw in there who was 0-9 in AAA this year, but everybody else was hungover. They collapsed, but I still think the offense is there. You got Baez, you've got Torres, you've got Torkelson, you've got the pitching with Scooble, Casey Mize, Riley Green. You've got the offense, and this no-name bunch from Cleveland that's scrappy as all hell. There's got to be an end to this run. To me, it comes in this postseason.
Well, Paul, you said that's your surprise pick. I was thinking Detroit as well because as good as the Cleveland's run's been, I am extremely surprised they're in the playoffs. When you look at the Cleveland roster outside of Ramirez for Cleveland, you wouldn't think they'd be a playoff team right now. But they're kind of the modern. They're kind of like the Tampa Bay Rays and formerly Oakland. They're now just Athletics because we don't want to know where they're from now. But they play that tight budget with their payroll, always getting these guys out of nowhere, and they always find a way to build a sound baseball team through their defense, their pitching, their bullpen, with guys that you would not even think would be guys that would make the Cleveland team a playoff-worthy team, if you would. So I give Cleveland a lot of credit for their grit, resilience, but Detroit's definitely the better team. I think the better Detroit team is going to show up in the playoffs. I think now that the pressure's off their backs or their shoulders, if you would, I think they're going to play a much better baseball in the playoffs. I have Tigers in 2 as well, but 2 very close games.
Michelle, I once saw a movie about a scrappy Indians team that had a bunch of players who were no names who
I remember
made
that
the
movie,
playoffs.
Major League. A good movie. It's so funny because I was looking at the playoffs earlier and I thought Cleveland's rolling. They're hot. They're coming in. They had that injury, but I thought the Tigers were just so good, so early. So they have it there. But I'm going to agree with Paul, and I think it's going to be the Tigers. I'll go ahead and go. I'll say Tigers in 2. That's fine.
It will be in 2. It'll be Cleveland in 2. I like the momentum. I think the Tigers shut it down too early. That's not easy to get back. It's history has shown us teams that struggle down the stretch often struggle to get it back, and they get eliminated quickly, and that's what's going to happen. Now the moment we've been waiting for. Mike Hutsell's Boston Red Sox going to New York to face Paul Tipton's New York Yankees. We'll start with you, Paul. Who's going to win and why?
Crochet wins game 1 and demoralizes the Yankees, and then the Red Sox win the second game as well. I'm sorry to do this, and I know Mike's been agreeing with me during the whole thing, so I doubt if he's going to disagree with me here. But my heart is with the Yankees, but my head is with Giolito and Crochet shutting down Aaron Judge and the Yankees, who rely on the home run. And if they don't get it, don't scrap enough runs.
Paul Tipton, go to your room.
It's not as fun when he picks against the Yankees. I was going to have a lot of fun with it. I was going to have a lot of fun with this moment. But of all the series we were going to disagree on, I knew it was going to be this one, but I thought it was going to be because Paul picked the Yankees and I picked the Red Sox. But here, Paul picks the Red Sox and I'm going to pick the Yankees. As weird as this is, the Red Sox have not been the same team since Roman Anthony popped his oblique about a month ago. I don't expect to see him in the lineup, as bad as that is. This whole season for Boston was about making it back to the postseason, just getting that franchise back on track. They've been in the doldrums since 2021 when they beat the Yankees. They took Houston to 6 or 7 or whatever it was in the ALCS. But, I mean, they were sub 500. They've gone cheap. They traded Devers again. This season, they got to what they needed to get to. Crochet's been an absolute monster, but him against Fried in the first game could go either way as far as I'm concerned. And if the Yankees win that first game, I just don't think that the Red Sox have enough to keep up. They had a great regular season against the Yankees, but the most recent series, 2 out of 3, went to New York, and that was without Roman in the lineup. I think you see something similar to that. I'm going to go Yankees in 3.
Whoa. Plot twist. M. Night Shyamalan.
At the top of the show, I gave Paul a hard way to go, saying that I'm not a Yankees fan at all. I'm definitely not a Yankees fan, but I am not going to roast the Yankees in this series. I'm going to treat this fairly with the Yankees. Obviously, when it comes to baseball, Yankees-Red Sox is the biggest rivalry in all of baseball, if not all of sports. So it's something I'm going to be tuned in for sure. It's going to be a fun series. I expect this to go the full 3 games just because I think the Yankees and Red Sox have a lot of things going for them. Even with the Red Sox falling off down the stretch, I still like the Red Sox enough to make this a series. I think, to me, it's going to bow down to the bullpen, and it's going to bow down to, can the Yankees get some timely runs in those key moments when the pitching is going to make the games tighter. I do think with them being at home, it certainly helps the Yankees in the series for sure. I think the Yankees, they're kind of coming in as an underdog, if you would, in the playoffs, and that you normally don't see that with the Yankees. And I typically, a underdog Yankees team is very dangerous in the playoffs. I know that from me being a Cardinals fan, and anytime the Cardinals would make the playoffs as underdog, they would always be the most dangerous team in the playoffs as well. So I think the Yankees have a little bit of a similar type of momentum coming, if you will. They had a little bit of a cold stretch at the midpoint of the season. It looked like maybe the Yankees might fall out of the playoffs. I remember that, hearing about the Yankees may slip out of the playoffs, but then they got hot towards the end, and I think at the end, I think the Yankees get just enough to get to the series. Now, can they win the World Series? I think that's a whole nother discussion. But I think the Yankees get the edge. Either Paul Tipton is a reverse psychologist, or I am the bearer of false hope. So I'm going to say Yankees in 3.
Those plucky upstart, darling, underdog Yankees.
I was going to say the Yankees are underdogs. I've never heard that.
America's team, let me tell you.
They're in the wild card. They did not win the division.
We know.
They lost 6 games in a row twice this season.
They got swept by the Marlins.
Yes.
They're still not the poor, helpless Yankees that everyone's trying to make them out to be, including you, reverse psychologist. I'm taking the Yankees. I like this Red Sox team. I think they're fun to watch. I think they make it go 3, but I'm taking the Yankees, and I'm going to take the Yankees to win the American League and get crushed in the World Series.
By the Phillies.
That'd be my guess, but whether it's the Phillies, the Dodgers, the Padres, or the Brewers, I think the National League is winning the World Series. Michelle, Red Sox or Yankees?
He's in 3. I hate that because I cannot stand the Yankees.
Thanks so much for listening. Always appreciate it. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a baseball fan in your life and help spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about sports every single day. Central Indiana Sports Report is brought to you by TG Media, and I love Susie.